You think sharing everything makes you authentic? It doesn't. It makes you exposed, vulnerable, easy to manipulate. We live in a world that tells you to post everything, share everything, broadcast every thought and feeling and plan. But here's what nobody's telling you, the most powerful people you know. They're not posting their next move. They're not sharing their struggles in real time. They're not putting their entire life on display. They're quiet. They're private. They're moving in silence. And that silence, that's their strategy, because privacy isn't about hiding. It's about protecting your peace, protecting your plans, protecting your power. And if you're out here telling everyone everything, if you're posting your goals before you've achieved them, if you're sharing your problems with people who don't care, you're giving away the very things that could change your life. So if you've been wondering why your dreams aren't manifesting, why people keep undermining you, why you feel drained even though you're making progress, it's because you're sharing too much with the wrong people. And in 2026, that must change. Some things need to stay private, not forever, just until they're real. Let me tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. You're sharing too much. And I don't just mean social media. I mean in conversations, with co-workers, with family, with people who don't actually care about your success but love to stay updated on your life. You're telling people your plans before they're solid. You're sharing your struggles while you're still in them. You're posting your progress before it's real progress. And every time you do that, you're leaking energy. You're inviting opinions you didn't ask for. You're opening yourself up to doubt, to negativity, to people who will smile in your face and secretly hope you fail. And here's the part that's hard to accept. Not everyone is happy for you. Not everyone wants to see you win. Some people are only interested in your life because it makes them feel better about theirs. They want to see you struggle. They want to hear about your problems. They want to know your plans so they can copy them or quietly undermine them. And if you keep giving those people access, if you keep sharing everything with everyone, you're going to stay stuck. Not because you're not capable, but because you're surrounded by energy that's working against you. Privacy used to be normal. People kept things to themselves until they were ready to share. But now we live in a culture that demands constant updates, constant visibility, constant proof that you're doing something. And if you're not posting, if you're not sharing, people assume you're not doing anything. But that's not true. The people who are really building, they're quiet, they're focused. They're not worried about who's watching because they're too busy working. And that's the energy you need to tap. That's the mindset you need to adopt. Not secrecy, just selectivity, not hiding, just protecting. Because here's the reality. The more you share, the more you expose yourself to judgment, to jealousy, to interfere. And it all slows you down. It clouds your vision. It makes you second guess yourself. Turn your personal goals into public performances. And performances require an audience. They require validation. They require you to keep proving yourself. But real growth, real transformation, that doesn't need an audience. It just needs you. Your commitment, your consistency, your willingness to work without applause. So let's talk about the 7 things you must keep private in 2026. Not because you're being secretive or arrogant or antisocial, but because you're being intentional. Because you realize that some things are too important to be shared with people who don't deserve access. And once you start protecting these 7 areas, once you start moving in silence, everything changes. Your focus sharpens, your energy returns, your progress accelerates. And when people finally see what you've been building, they won't have seen it coming. And that's exactly the point. That's where everything began to shift. The first thing to keep private is your next move, your plans, your goals, the thing you're working toward. Because the moment you announce it, the moment you tell people what you're about to do, you lose some of the power to actually do it. Not because they cursed you, not because they jinxed it, but because you've released the tension. You've satisfied the need for accomplishment by talking about it instead of doing it. And now, subconsciously, your brain thinks you've already done the work. It gave you the dopamine hit from people's reactions, and now the actual work feels less urgent. There's science behind this. When you share a goal, your brain experiences a premature sense of completion. You get the validation, the encouragement, the acknowledgement, and that reduces your motivation to follow through. Plus, not everyone who hears your plan wants to see it succeed. Some people will subtly discourage you. Some will ask questions that plant doubt. Some will give unsolicited advice that derails your focus. And others will straight up copy your idea and execute it faster because you handed them the blueprint. Keep your next move to yourself. Work on it in private. Let people wonder what you're up to. And when it's done, when it's real, when it's undeniable, that's when you share, not for validation. But as a result, and the difference between announcing your plans and revealing your results is the difference between talk and proof, between intention and execution, between trying and doing. So stop telling people what you're going to do. Just do it and let the outcome speak for itself. Let's talk about money. Because one of the fastest ways to invite problems into your life is to tell people how much you make. Whether you're making a lot or a little, it doesn't matter. People will have opinions. People will have expectations. People will treat you differently. And none of it helps you. If you're making good money, people get jealous. They start asking for loans. They make assumptions about what you can afford. They resent you for having what they don't. If you're struggling, people look down on you. They question your choices. They offer advice you didn't ask for. Either way, you lose. Your income is nobody's business. Not your friends, not your extended family, not your co-workers. The only people who need to know are you, your partner if you have one, and your accountant. That's it. Everyone else? They don't need the details. And when people ask because they will, you deflect. You keep it vague, you change the subject. Because what you make, what you have, what you're building financially, that's private. That's between you and your goals. And here's the thing, when you keep your income private, you protect yourself from jealousy, from judgment, from people trying to take advantage of you. You also protect your peace. You're not constantly defending your spending choices. You're not justifying why you did or didn't buy something. You're not navigating weird power dynamics where people feel entitled to your money just because they know you have it. You just live your life. You manage your money. You build your wealth. Quietly, privately, without commentary. Money is power. And people who understand power don't broadcast it. They protect it. So keep your financial situation to yourself. Let people assume whatever they want. And focus on building something real instead of proving something to people who don't matter. Here's a hard truth. Most people don't care about your problems. They might act like they do. They might listen. They might give advice. But deep down, they're either entertained by your struggle or relieved that it's you and not them. And the worst part? The things you share in moments of vulnerability can and will be used against you later. Not always, but often enough you have to be careful. Because people remember your low points, and some will bring them up when it's convenient, when they're mad, when they want to feel better, when they need ammunition. This doesn't mean you can't talk about your problems. It means you need to be selective about who you talk to. Not everyone deserves access to your struggles. Not everyone has earned the right to know what you're going through. And posting your problems online? That's even worse, because now it's permanent. Now it's public. Now everyone has an opinion. And most of those opinions aren't helpful. They're judgmental. They're surface level. They're from people who don't know the full story and don't actually care about your outcome. Keep your personal problems private. Work through them with a therapist, a mentor, or a very small circle of trusted people who've proven they can hold space for you without judgment. And everyone else? They don't need to know. They don't need mental health updates. They don't need to hear about your relationship issues. They don't need to know your family drama because their input won't help. It'll just add noise. It'll just make it harder for you to think clearly and make the right decisions. Privacy in your struggles isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about protecting yourself while you figure it out. It's about not letting other people's energy complicate what you're already dealing with. So be selective, be protective, and handle your problems with the people who actually care, not with an audience. If you're doing something good, helping someone, donating, volunteering, supporting a cause, keep it to yourself. Don't post it. Don't announce it. Don't turn it into content, because the moment you do, it stops being about the good deed and starts being about you. It becomes performance. It becomes self-promotion disguised as generosity, and people can feel that. They can sense when something is genuine versus when it's for show, and when it's for show, it loses its meaning. Real generosity is quiet. It doesn't need recognition. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need witnesses. It's done because it's the right thing to do, not because it makes you look good. And when you keep your good deeds private, when you help without announcing it, you preserve the purity of the act. You also preserve your humility, because humility isn't about downplaying yourself. It's about not needing external validation for your character. It's about knowing who you are without needing to prove it to everyone else. And here's the thing, when you're constantly posting your good deeds, you cheapen them. You turn acts of kindness into currency for likes and comments. And that's not generosity, that's a transaction. That's using someone else's struggle or need to boost your own image. And people see through it. They might not say it, but they see it. So if you want to help, help. If you want to give, give. But do it quietly, do it privately, and let the impact speak for itself. Because real characters don't need a spotlight. It just exists, consistently, quietly, powerfully. Whatever's happening in your family, the conflicts, the drama, the dysfunction that stays in your family, you don't post about it. You don't vent about it to people outside the situation. You don't turn your family issues into entertainment for your friends or followers. Because family business is just that, family. And the moment you bring outsiders into it, you complicate everything. You make it harder to resolve. You make people take sides. You create divisions that don't need to exist. And here's the reality. People love drama. They love hearing about dysfunction because it makes them feel better about their own lives. So when you share your family problems, people aren't listening to help. They're listening to the judge, to gossip, to compare. And now your private issue is public knowledge. Now people have opinions. Now your family members find out you've been talking about them. And whatever chance you had to resolve things peacefully just got a lot harder. Keep family business in the family. If you need to vent, vent to a therapist. If you need advice, talk to someone neutral who's not going to spread it around. But don't put it on social media. Don't make it a topic of conversation with people who have no stake in the outcome. Because your family, despite their flaws, despite the issues, is still your family. And they deserve the privacy to work through things without the world watching. This also protects you, because when you air family business publicly, you look bad too. People might sympathise in the moment, but long term, they'll remember that you couldn't keep things private. They'll question whether they can trust you with their own personal matters. So for your sake and your family's sake, keep it private, handle it internally. And protect the sanctity of your family relationships, even when they're messy. Your relationship with spirituality, religion, faith, whatever you call it, that's deeply personal. And it should stay that way, not because it's something to be ashamed of, but because it's sacred. And when you put it on display, when you post every prayer, every revelation, every spiritual experience, you invite judgment. You invite debate. You invite people to dissect and criticize something that's meant to be between you and whatever higher power you believe in. Social media has turned spirituality into performance. People post their Bible verses, their meditation sessions, their spiritual awakenings, not because they're genuinely sharing, but because it projects an image. It makes them look deep, enlightened, connected. But spirituality isn't about looking a certain way. It's about being a certain way, and you don't need to declare it for it to be real. You don't need validation from others to confirm your connection to something greater. Keep your spiritual practices private. Let them be your foundation. Let them guide you without needing to broadcast them. Because when you're constantly posting about your faith or your beliefs, you're performing. And performance requires an audience. But real spirituality doesn't need an audience. It just needs you. Your sincerity, your commitment, your quiet, consistent practice. So protect that space. Keep it sacred. And let your life reflect your beliefs without needing to declare them. And finally, keep your next level of success private. The promotion you're about to get, the business you're about to launch, milestone you're about to hit. Don't announce it before it happens. Don't celebrate prematurely. Don't let people know you're leveling up until you've already leveled up. Because the moment you do, you invite interference. You invite the evil eye. You invite doubt and negativity and energy that can derail your momentum. This isn't superstition. This is strategy. When you keep your success private until it's secured, you protect it. You don't give people the opportunity to plant seeds of doubt. You don't give competitors the chance to block you. You don't give haters the satisfaction of watching you fail if things don't work out. You just move in silence. You do the work. You secure the bag. And then, when it's done, when it's real, when it's undeniable, that's when you share. Not for validation, but as proof. As evidence that while everyone was talking, you were working. Moving in silence also keeps you humble. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you focused on the work instead of the attention. Because when you're announcing every win, you start doing things for the applause instead of for the growth. You start performing instead of building. And that's a dangerous place to be. So keep your next level private. Let people wonder. Let them be surprised. And when they finally see what you've been building, let that be the announcement. Let your results speak louder than any post ever could. And that's when you realize something powerful. Privacy is freedom. For years you thought transparency was the goal. You thought sharing everything made you relatable, authentic, real. But now you see it differently. Now you see that privacy isn't about hiding, it's about protecting. Protect your energy from those draining it. Protecting your plans from people who would sabotage them. Protecting your peace from people who thrive on chaos. And most importantly, protecting your power from people who don't deserve access to it. You've been giving too much information, too much access, too much of yourself to people who haven't earned it. And that's why you felt scattered. That's why your goals feel heavier. That's why your energy feels depleted. Because you've been operating without boundaries. You've been sharing without discretion. You've been moving in public when you should have been moving in private. And now you're paying the price, not in failure, but in friction, in resistance, in the constant weight of other people's opinions, judgments, and expectations. But here's the shift. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone updates. You don't owe anyone access to your plans, your income, your problems, your good deeds, your family, your spirituality, or your success. You owe yourself protection. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself the space to grow without interference. And that means drawing boundaries. That means being selective. That means saying less and doing more. Privacy isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding that not everything is for public consumption. That some things are meant to be experienced, not performed. That real growth happens in the quiet moments when no one's watching, and people who really support you. They don't need constant updates. They trust the process. They believe in you, and when the results show up, they celebrate with you, not because they were tracking every step, but because they know you put in the work. So this is your new standard. This is your new way of moving. In silence, in privacy, in protection. You stop announcing. You stop explaining, you stop performing, and you start building quietly, consistently, powerfully. And when people finally see what you've been working on, when they finally see the results, they won't have seen it coming. They'll be shocked. They'll be impressed. And that's exactly how it should be. Because you didn't need their permission. You didn't need their approval. You just needed your discipline, your focus, your commitment to protecting what matters. And that's what separates you from everyone else. That's what makes you dangerous, not loud, just lethal. So here's the challenge for 2026. Keep these 7 things private. Your next move, your income, your personal problems, your good deeds, your family business, your spiritual beliefs, your next level of success. Protect them. Guard them. Don't let the world have access just because they're curious. Don't let people into spaces they haven't earned. And don't feel guilty, because privacy isn't secrecy, it's wisdom. It's understanding that not everyone deserves to know everything, that some things are sacred, that some things need protection to actually manifest. And when you start operating this way, when you start moving in silence, something powerful happens. You stop caring what people think. You stop needing validation. You stop performing, and you start building real, tangible, undeniable results. Results that speak for themselves. Results that don't need captions or explanations or justifications. Just results. And that's what you want. I don't like it. No comments, not applause. But real, measurable progress toward the life you're trying to create. So close the laptop. Put down the phone. Stop posting. Stop sharing. Stop announcing. And start working in private, in silence, in focus. Let people wonder. Let them speculate. Let them assume you're doing nothing. Because while they're watching, while they're talking, while they're judging, you'll be building. And when you're ready, when it's done, when it's real, that's when they'll see. Not before, not during, after. And by then, it won't matter what they think, because you'll already be there. You'll already be on the next level, moving in silence. Building in private, winning quietly. And that's the strongest way to live.